Shalom, shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham Yahushai, Bahasham Recha Kudash. Double honors to the elders and the apostles of Great Millstone, and peace and blessings to the elect. And just gonna go through some more of these, headlines. Right, you miss a day, you miss a lot. And what we're seeing here, I'll try to get through it briefly, but what we're seeing here is, I believe about a day or two ago, Trump came out and gave Iran an ultimatum, right? Open the Strait of Hormuz within 48 hours, or else they're gonna attack their energy infrastructure. Iran basically came out and said, Iran basically came out and said that it was gonna basically, it would send the whole region, make the whole region go dark if they tried something like that. So what we're seeing now is, as the deadline approaches, what did Trump go and do? He said, oh, well, you know what? They actually want to negotiate now, which is complete lies. But he said, oh, they want to negotiate now, and so we're extending it for 5 days. And what this is doing, which even the Iranians have come out and said, they're using psychological warfare, right? They're lying openly and blatantly. Like, it's not even, you don't even need to go and prove, you don't need to bring documents to see that these lies, like, this is blatantly a lie, okay, nationally, on TV. And the fact that people still believe it is, I mean, that's the interesting, part of it. Nevertheless, you have your president that's on here blatantly lying, and it's causing that extra volatility in the markets, right? Oil prices drop, stocks go up because he said, oh, we're talking with Iran for an agreement, a deal. They want to work a deal. I have it right here, right? It says Trump reiterates talks between Iran, U.S. Iran wants to settle. We'll get it done, I hope. Very good discussions with Iran. This time, Iran means business. So did they not assume these pseudo talks, right? These talks that, according to him, happened. What did Iran not mean business before, when they were willing to basically adhere to unreasonable demands? Or how did that go? Because they ended up getting bombed last time they did that. And now they're not coming to the table to negotiate with you. They're not coming to meet your demands. Okay, they said you want to talk at all? These are our demands. You meet this, because now it's to the point where they're like, yo, we are holding you hostage now. Okay, and what the U.S., Israel, what they're doing is they're trying to save face. They're seeing that this is a catastrophe that they're trying to, at least on the outward front, Trump is trying to back out of this. He's trying to find an off ramp, but they're like, nah, that's not happening. It's like when you go and start a fight and you start getting your ass beat, so you try to, walk away, and then the person is still pursuing you. Like, no, this fight is not over. You start saying, nah, you got it. No, he's like, nah, I'm not done. And that's the kind of situation you see here right now. So, just beware, because you have, blatant lies going on here, which shouldn't come as a surprise. And so, just as Trump is saying that, it says here, I'm going to read the summary here. Iran says talks with U.S. are fake news after Trump threatens to just keep bombing. Wants Hormuz to be jointly controlled. And you got to look at just, you don't even have to look far. Just look at just recent, history. The last time they did that with the false peace talks, it was to buy time, so that they could go and they could send more artillery over there to that region. Now, you got to ask yourself, you're looking for an off-ramp, a so-called off-ramp. You're coming out and openly saying, oh, we can make a deal. I think just now there's a post saying that that Israel says, an Israeli official said, the United States has set April 9th as the target date to end war with Iran. Yeah, this isn't something you get to determine. That's the thing, right? They make it sound like, okay, April 9th, boom, war is over, everything is all sweet. Okay, well, guess what? The Strait of Hormuz is still under their control, and they're still saying, yeah, no, we're going to continue to bomb Israel, and we're not letting anybody we don't want to pass through this strait. So the war is over, but yet the prices are still high. What's going on there? And the war is over, but yet you're asking for funding for this same war that is so-called over. 2, 3, 4, 5 days ago, Iran was so-called obliterated, right? They had no navy, no nothing. So what's going on here? So people that are believing this, I mean, I don't even know what to say about that, because at that, if you believe that, then I don't think there's any hope for you to or have your eyes open. So reading the summary here, it says Trump announces productive talks with Iran, postpones military strikes for 5 days, and we'll see what happens after that 5-day period. Iran Foreign Ministry plus Parliament Speaker say no talks have happened after Trump said speaking with a top person in Iran. How are you gonna say you're speaking with them? They're telling you no. Like, we didn't speak to anybody over here. We don't want to speak to you. Right? Like, that's not where we're at with it right now. So it's literally exactly what they are, the goal of what they're doing, the manipulation of the markets is what you see happening. Okay. Now, could this be just another, are they now pushing this again to buy more time, except this time, instead of sending just, fighter jets and bomber planes, B-2 bombers and so on, you're actually trying to send in troops? Because you need time to send those forces over there. And that's what they like to do. They like to use red herrings. They like to throw you off the scent and then come from a different, place, right? Different direction. It says Trump says Hormuz will be jointly controlled. Russia and Pakistan step up as potential mediators, engage with Tehran. Jointly controlled, huh? What they're trying to do is they're look at what they said, right? You have to look at their actions, but look at what they've said in the past about this whole entire situation. Look at what they said about it. And then look at what's actually happening. That will tell you enough about what you need to know. Is this true? Is it not? Is it false? Is it this? Look at their actions and look at what they're saying. And you see that it's not lining up. It's not adding up. Israel is not seeing an imminent end to the war and plans to continue operations while avoiding energy assets, an Israeli official said. U.S. says Israel will be pleased. So you're at the point where you can't trust anything they're saying. It's propaganda, but it's literally part of wartime. That's what they do. That's literally a thing. Okay, they lie on each side to paint the picture in people's minds that this is how things are going this way, but in actuality, it's not. So they'll come out and say, "Oh, the war is gonna end on this day." Oh, then no, well, this happened, so we gotta extend it. Oh, but then this went on here. So now he's saying, "Oh, he's saying Iran was bragging about nuclear capabilities, and I didn't like that too well." So then he's gonna turn around and say on day 4, right before getting into the end of the 5th day, he's gonna say, "Oh, well, you know what? It turns out they don't want a deal after all." And so we're just gonna keep bombing, or we're just gonna go up in there. But that never was the case to begin with. Okay? It's all manipulation tactics. Iran publishes broad list of potential regional targets, threatens the entire region will go dark. And once again, they're seeing that, hey, this is a world crisis, right? In fact, this last point mentions that the IAE executive director warns of 1970s level oil shock. No country will be immune to the effects of this crisis. And whenever they start using that terminology, crisis, you got to keep your ears open. Because when they start using that terminology, this is usually something that they're going to prolong as best they can. If it continues to go in this direction, Russia mediates in call with Tehran. This is just a summary of what this article is about. So I've said this before, but when you have like a false event, you have your crisis actors, and it's controlled. You can control both sides, right? You can control, well, when one side does this, the other side should react this way, right? When one side does this, they got to do it this way. But when you're dealing with real live events where the other side isn't like your puppet, like how a crisis actor would be. Your way to control them or to try to get them to react or do what you want to do is mainly based on your actions. That's why they're using this psychological warfare. That's why they're coming out and saying one thing but they're doing another. Right? It's all a part of it. So this is a multi-front war. Next, we also have some other interesting stuff in here concerning ICE. But here it says Iranian parliament speaker Ghalibaf says Iran didn't hold negotiations with the U.S., calling it fake news to manipulate markets. Well, you might say, oh, no, he's lying. But look at what happened when Trump said that. Literally, the markets, the stocks went up and oil prices dropped. And then watch what happens when he pivots from that. Says here, Israel and Iran officials say fighting will continue. So you're hearing one thing on your Fox News and MSNBC and so on, and then in reality, there's a whole nother thing going on. Now, I did see this earlier today, right? It's breaking. Apparently, ICE agents start arresting illegals at San Francisco airport this morning. Now, actually, I'm going to see if there's anything that has been, like, any more information on that. Yeah, let's just type that in here and see. But it's interesting, right? Because they said, oh, we're going to, since the Democrats, Trump calls airports fertile territory for ICE. So you got to really think about it. He didn't say he would send a National Guard. He didn't say he would send, any other, they wouldn't create a certain temporary task for nothing. But ICE. They're going to send ICE to the airports. And then lo and behold, what do you think ICE is doing over there? You think they're yeah, of course. Your main duty is to just make sure that everybody gets through successfully. No, what better place is to put them but there? So he was very quick to do that. And they're also now saying that this government, this shutdown, could extend into April, meaning there's no ending of it in sight. And I will see how it ends up playing out, but you can see how one thing is leading to another, right? Super long lines. Now they've closed LaGuardia Airport because of some incident that happened last night with a aircraft crashing into a vehicle. So now that's closed. So not only did you have super long lines due to little to no employees, no TSA workers at these various airports, now you have some airports that are closing down, like LaGuardia, because of this, and others will follow suit because of lack of workers if something doesn't change. So here, they're going ahead and sending them ICE agents. Let's see what this article says. What does he mean by this? So President Trump on Monday called airports fertile territory for the U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement officers brought in to aid with security. Even as he said, that's not why they're there. Isn't that interesting? What does that mean? What do you mean by that? That's not why they're there. So why did you send them there? Asked by reporters whether ICE officials would be making immigration arrests at airports, Trump did not rule it out. They love it because they're able to now arrest illegals as they come into the country, he said. It's very fertile territory. So do you start to now get the picture? Oh, how convenient. You keep this deadlock between the Democrats and the Republicans. You're not funding the DHS. That's more than just TSA. It's more than just ICE. Your cybersecurity, defense, your counterterrorism, teams, all of those things, that falls under DHS. Okay? And then the first thing he says is, yep, we're going to send ICE agents over there. And now listen to what he's saying. So, don't be surprised if now he's like, hey, you know what? This is actually not a bad idea. We might just keep them there. It says here, but that's not why they're there. They're really there to help. So why would you mention that first part? They love it because now they're able to now arrest illegals as they come into the country. It's very fertile territory. No, but that's not why they're really there. They're really just there to help. How? What help are they there to bring? ICE officers began to deploy at airports across the country Monday as security lines have grown because of a shutdown at the Department of Homeland Security that has halted payments to Transportation Security Administration workers. That's TSA. Let's see what the deployments immediately alarmed numerous congressional Democrats. You had here, I'm just going to read what they said. ICE would only worsen conditions at airports because officers are not trained to do security, and immigration enforcement would disrupt already chaotic conditions for travelers. ICE agents at airports will only aggravate delay and lines, disrupting checks, interrogating travelers, dragging parents from children, detaining citizens, brutalizing families, shooting and even killing. Well, shit. he definitely didn't hold back. Okay, let's see what else we have. If you're planning a trip, there are resources to understand your rights at airports to make safety plans. So, you're starting to get the picture here that there's a lot. This is basically a lockdown, right? They're locking things down. Let me see if they have anything else on here. Numerous lawmakers pointed to a video apparently taken at San Francisco airport Sunday night, showing a woman placed in handcuffs by two plainclothes men who repeatedly ignored calls from bystanders to display their badges. Interesting. ICE is not at airports to help TSA and reduce lines. They are there without identification, trying to arrest people exactly as I predicted. Republicans, including Trump, said the deployment was designed to make Democrats go crazy as the parties are in a standoff over how to fund the DHS. That's quote unquote, that's why the Democrats are going crazy, Trump said Monday morning, citing his dispatching of ICE. So you can see there's a lot going on. In fact, he also mentioned that the enemy, right? I think he said after Iran or so is the Democrats. So yeah, things are definitely intensifying, and it's not stopping. It's this world as you see it is transforming. So you have to stay with the times. All right, you have to stay updated. You gotta. And right now is not the time to be trying to travel all around, especially with all this going on. Okay. They snatch you up and take you to some facility. You might not be coming back. So this is an interesting post here, right? This is the last one we'll go through, but it's an interesting post because it says here, breaking, the U.S. government is reportedly planning operations involving the three Iranian islands of Abu Masu or Musa, Greater Tun, and Lesser, we'll call them Tun. The United States is increasing its military presence in the Middle East while maintaining an element of surprise by signaling negotiations with the new leader of the Islamic regime, Mohammed Bagher Ghalibaf. And he said, no, we didn't have talks. Okay? So now think about it. You want to so-called negotiate. You want to end this war, but you're increasing your military presence. Oh, why? Doesn't that sound like something you did right before you bombed them? Today, 4 U.S. Navy E-2D Hawkeyes are en route to Prince Sultan Air Base in Saudi Arabia. Additionally, 6 EA-18G Growlers were deployed to Ovda Air Base in Israel yesterday, and 12 F-16 CS or Cs from the 77th and 79th Fighter Squadrons of the U.S. Air Force are now being transferred there as well. So does this sound like a de-escalation or a de-escalatory move? Does this sound like somebody who's trying to negotiate? And if you negotiate, what happened to taking over, the uranium and, the oil and all of that? How's that going to happen? So it just doesn't add up. And this guy's starting to sound like Nero by the day. Go and read the history about Nero, especially his turning point. See, in the beginning, he was kept in check, right? He had Seneca and so on and so forth. But eventually, when he started to turn, he turned. He turned. And that's what people are starting to see. Just watch. Okay? Watch where this ends up. Two amphibious assault ships and an additional carrier strike group are also heading to the region. As part of this strategy, the United States is reportedly engaging in negotiations while preparing for a potential takeover of the islands. Do you see why the Iranians are saying no, they're not going to talk or deal with the U.S.? Because when you deal with people like this, they don't stop, they don't change. They fool you one time, fool you two times, fool you three times, and as many times as you let them. Okay? Because the average person would say, surely they wouldn't do this again. And that is exactly the cover that they want. You would not expect us to do this. You lied to them, then you bombed them. Now it has triggered this economic, this global crisis. And now you're saying, okay, now we're serious. Now let's negotiate. Okay, now people are like, okay, you've seen how bad it is. It looks like, there might be just, even if, you were to try your best to try and put something together, use neighboring nations to try and send messages across. They're like, okay, surely they're not going to be dumb enough to to try and pull a fast one on them again. And lo and behold, them being dumb enough to try and pull a fast one on them again. It says here, as part of this strategy, the United States is reportedly engaging in negotiations while preparing for a potential takeover of the islands, with the intention of transferring Abu Musa, greater T and lesser T, to the UAE in exchange for silencing the Persian Gulf states who have been protesting this war. See that? So there's always something going on behind the scenes. It is not that everybody's on the same page, and no, you are dealing with war. So watch what they do, not more so what they say. I mean, yeah, pay attention to what they say because it gives you insight into how much of liars they are, but watch what they do. Ultimately, this is all biblical prophecy. This is the will of the Heavenly Father. So it does not matter what they say. It does not matter what people want. The only thing that's going to happen is biblical prophecy being fulfilled. So if the Lord says that this is what's going to happen, guess what's going to happen at the end of the day? This. So this is Ecclesiasticus chapter 12, verse 10. Never trust thine enemy, for like as iron rusteth, so is his wickedness. So those that, once again, that are being fooled by these lies that are blatantly being told from the West and from different parts in Israel and yada, 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 guess what? You're going to find out very soon. Wait, hold on. But I thought he said prices were going to go down. It's been like 3 months. Wait, I thought the war was supposed to end on April 9th, and I thought they were talking about negotiations. Yeah, you thought wrong, buddy. Okay? That's why it says never trust them. And guess what? Them Iranians, they know. And in 2nd Esdras 15, it says that they're going to come raging in wrath like a wild boar. A wild boar that's raging in wrath is not interested in sitting down to talk with you. So as things continue to escalate, just know that as Yahushua said, this is the beginning of sorrows. And people all around the world, like we read in here, right, that no country will be immune to the effects of this crisis. So that's pretty much it on that, Lord willing. That was edifying and informative to the elect. In closing, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham Yahushai, Bahasham Ruach HaKodesh. And until next time, Shalom.